I just uploaded the first part of this natal chart reading, and um the icon's so derpy, so this one's probably gonna be too. It's gonna be great. But yeah, so I hope this is like, I think this is a good idea. Of course, like I'm being very casual now, and I'm pretty casual, like I'm just to keep things fun and like approachable. But normally before readings I also kind of do a little mini meditation with the person I'm reading for, just to get us on the same level, stuff like that. Just if anyone was wondering. So yeah, anyways, so now I usually dive into the next planets. I start with Mercury, Venus, and Mars, because those are like the next ones closest to the Earth. So my Mercury and Venus are both in Leo, but my Mercury is in the 6th house, and then my Venus is still in the 5th house, right by my sun sign. It's like, yeah, it's conjunct with my sun, so that's important. So with Mercury in Leo, this kind of affects my way of presenting myself and communicating, where it is very Leo-esque. I love to kind of like show off myself. I'm very prideful of the things I do. Like, I love people to, actually my mom just called me and she was like, why do you always need validation? And I'm like, I don't need it, I just ask for it. Like, I just want people to know that I know I'm doing a good job, or and stuff like that. And that's not always a bad thing, and that's why it's important to like study your own astrology, because if I didn't know that about myself, then when I didn't get validation, I would be hurt more. Like, I had to I was like, oh, is this feeling like a real feeling of disappointment and of oh, they don't like me, or is it just because I have this need to be validated and for people to tell me that I'm creative and wonderful, and this person didn't, or is it just my astrology making me feel this way, and I can just think myself out of it and snap out of it and be like, Venus and Leo, calm down, or I mean Mercury and Leo, calm down. But actually both, they work the same. But yeah, so that's kind of why I love studying astrology, and love, like, for people, I guess I'm not being super loud, and that's why I'm like, I hope this video isn't weird, because yeah, I'm usually a lot louder today. That's a very Leo way of talking, but I guess I'm just like at home and having a chill day, so I'm not as like, anyways. So yeah, so with your Venus in Leo, Mercury in Leo, it borders on this line of just being a really creative person, because Leos kind of rule that the 5th house, which is the house of creativity, but because my Venus isn't in the 5th house, it's in the 6th, it's like you're creative, and your creativity comes from this place of inner knowing and self, but it's probably not gonna like manifest in typical creative ways, and it doesn't. It manifests in astrology, and that kind of relates to where the 6th house is, with my Venus, or with my Mercury manifesting in a way where I help others, manifesting in a way where I'm able to feel healthy and like stick to a routine. That also kind of shows like that's how I'm a better communicator, is if I'm feeling stable, if I'm feeling healthy, I can communicate better. Is also like a good way to do it. So yeah, Mercury is the planet that kind of rules your thoughts as well, and the way you think. So with it being in Leo, it can be like a lot of my thought processes come from an immediate sense of like, how is this affecting me? What do I want? How is this changing my view or changing me in some way? And then I'm able to be like, oh, how can I turn this into productive energy? How can I use this to serve others? And I have to kind of remind myself to think of other people, or like, because I think my thoughts are like very internalized, or something like very related to kind of me and only me, when other people, if they're like, oh yeah, I had this same idea, or if I'm talking to my boyfriend and he's like, yeah, no, we're on the same page, I'm always amazed. I'm like, okay, good, like, because I thought I was alone in this mindset or in this kind of universe. Like, I'm living in my own little world, but really I'm sharing it with others, and I have to be reminded of that sometimes. So yeah, so, and then it could also mean that my thoughts are a bit more oriented towards acts of service, health, and routine. And for a long time, like, I've had like issues with like health and like being like, am I healthy? Am I unhealthy? Am I working out? Am I eating properly? And that's kind of also speaks to some of the wounds I have, but that's kind of related to that too, where your mind can tend to rest on the life topic, that the house that your Mercury's in can rule those kind of energies and speak to everyday kind of thought processes like that, which is really cool. I'm learning a lot. I'm reconnecting to a lot about myself reading my chart. Again, so yeah, and then with Venus not too far from Mercury, that really speaks to how I deal with relationships, how I compare myself to other people, and how I feel good, because Venus is love and relationships, so partnerships as well, like business partnerships, stuff like that, but also like sensuousness, like feeling nice things and being in nice places, stuff like that, and how that energy can be shown with me. So with Leo, it's very much like, again, am I being loved here? Am I being not praised, like adored? Like, am I being like, do they know I'm amazing? Do they know I'm doing a good job in helping this partnership? Am I doing my part and they're recognizing me for it? Stuff like that. And that's like kind of sad. Like, it's a lovely placement, like I resonate with it a lot, but like, it's, again, you have to remind yourself that there's another person in this partnership. And so with Leo still being generous, it's like needing to make sure you're not like drifting too far on the selfish side of the Leo spectrum, and like making, and you're balancing, so you feel good but you're also doing good. With Venus and Leo, it can be a lot like that. With Venus and Leo too, you can tend to put people on a pedestal yourself too, just because like if you weren't in a partnership or anything like that, and you're just like thinking about the ideal one, like you might idealize other people, because if you're not the one who's like the best, then the other person must be in your head. So you like over exaggerate someone else's qualities, because someone always has to be king. You know what I mean? It's either you're going to be the king and the most important person, or the other person is. And so that can also drift into this like idea of your you being a little submissive, and maybe in a bad way, especially when it comes to business partnerships or relationships too, right? And just with like any other kind of relationships in general, that can these energies with your Venus sign can kind of show up. And the Venus is in my 5th house, so that means I have a lot of fun with it, with my Venus energy, that I get creative. Like, I used to daydream all the time about boyfriends. Like, who was my first imaginary boyfriend? Like, Dylan Sprouse was like I would fantasize about celebrities and pretend that they were my boyfriend. He was the first one. Dylan or Cole, I don't know. I drew a heart over one of their faces in a magazine, is all I remember. But yeah, so stuff like that, like just like being very creative in terms of your love life, being able, like, if your love life doesn't bring you joy and isn't making you happy, then it's not going to be for you with this placement in the 5th house. But again, having Venus is also like, if you're feeling good in it, it can also be like, being creative makes you feel good, and having this like and unleashing your creativity is going to make you feel good, and feel that Venus energy. So you're going to be able to open up your heart space more to love and to be a good partner, if you have that outlet to have joy and express yourself as well. Did you... I make that noise a lot in readings as well. So those were Venus, oh, and Mars sign. So my Mars is in Libra in the 7th house, which is interesting how it relates to my Venus sign. Actually, I think it's yeah, my Mars is trine my Venus, so they actually kind of work really well together. So my Venus is in Libra, or I mean my Mars is in Libra, and it's trine to my Venus energy. So with Mars in Libra, Mars is the planet of action, so it kind of helps us understand what kind of situations we're driven towards, where our drive comes from. Like, we're going to be motivated to do things if they help us obtain this energy. So for me, that's Libra energy, and that's balance, that's love, because Libra rules Venus, or Venus is ruled by, no, Libra is ruled by Venus. So that's why this is a really fun placement, and it's trying each other too, like to the degrees. So that's kind of really helpful, where I want to feel balanced and I want to feel like loved. So my drive is usually coming from the space of, am I going to be in a good partnership? That's probably why I was fantasizing about boyfriends since I was little, was because that was a key thing that I was driven towards and something that would drive me. I would even couldn't wait to go to sleep so I could fantasize about my boyfriends. So I was driven to go to bed. Anyways, but yeah, like things like that can come up. So so it also means like balance, like making sure everyone's treated fairly is a thing that motivates me and kind of keeps me going, as something I aim for. It's in my 7th house, so that kind of also means, yeah, like this energy comes from this place of creating balance between me and other people. So this also kind of softens that Leo side of me that can be a little too selfish. So it's easier for me to tip towards the other side of the spectrum than the selfish side of the spectrum that I was talking about. So yeah, so really great. That's a really simple way to put it. But I think I'm just gonna do those 3 signs. I might I'm gonna do these videos in cute little certain signs so then other people don't get bored, and then they can learn a little bit about each placement as well. Cause yeah. How are you guys doing? Good? I hope people actually watch these videos and comment. That would be fun. We can start a conversation.